Hey guys, welcome to the first biology video. My name is Valerie and today we will be learning about Foundation 1 for the characteristics of life. So you might be wondering what these are. Let's jump right in, shall we? So the characteristics of life are the characteristics necessary to all living organisms without exception. These are movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition, or as what they're commonly abbreviated as SSGRAM. I'll explain what these are in the next few slides. So first, we have movement, which is the ability of an organism to change position. It is divided into two types, direct and indirect. So an example of direct movement would be a person running or bacterial locomotion using flagella. Direct movement is usually defined as displacement, which is when one organism moves from one place to another. Meanwhile, for indirect movement, an example would be plants facing the sun. In indirect movement, the organism stays in one place, but its body parts do move. Next up is respiration, where the process to create the energy organisms need to live. It is done through the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. It takes place in our lungs, specifically in our alveoli. It is carried out on a cellular level, which means that it's carried out by cytoplasm and mitochondria, producing ATP. Next is sensitivity, or an organism's ability to perceive and respond to various stimuli in its environment, both from internal and external sources. So, for internal sources, an example would be hunger. If an organism is hungry, of course it will look for food, right? For external stimulants, an example would be sunlight, specifically in the case of plants. This is mentioned earlier during movement, which is when a plant moves towards the sun in order to maximize its photosynthesis rate. As an example of sensitivity. Next, we have growth, which is usually defined as an increase in an organism's size or mass or change in their shape. It is irreversible and continuous. So, as we all know, different organisms grow differently. Humans, we grow taller, we gain weight, but for bacteria, it's usually just an increase in size or mass, such as in the diagram below. Next, we have reproduction, which is the process of an organism producing an offspring. It can happen both sexually and asexually. So, asexual reproduction means that only one parent is involved. An example, on a cellular level, would be mitosis, which is when one parent cell divides into two equally identical daughter cells. As for sexual reproduction, an example would be fertilization, which is the merging of two gametes, the ovum and the sperm cell. It always requires two parents. Next, we have excretion, which is the removal of waste products of metabolism from the body. Examples of waste products are urea and carbon dioxide. The most common examples of excretion are sweating and removal of CO2 through exhalation. So, here's a fun fact. Urination is counted as excretion because it is the removal of urea from our body. However, defecation or pooping is not, as it is only the removal of what is left after digesting food. And as for the last characteristic of life, we have nutrition, which is the process of consuming, absorbing, and using nutrients from the food that is necessary for growth, development, and maintenance of life. It provides energy. So for humans, it would be in the form of eating food, but as for plants, it would be in the form of photosynthesis. So now that we've covered all characteristics of life, I have a question for you guys. So, are viruses considered living organisms? Put your answer in the comments. I'll give you 3 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. So the answer is, viruses are not living organisms. They do respond to certain stimuli, but they rely on their host organism for the rest of the characteristics. They do reproduce, and they do have movement, and they do have sensitivity, but they cannot grow, they cannot excrete, and they rely on their host for their nutrition. This means that without the host cell, viruses would not be able to carry out the other characteristics. An organism needs to have all 7 characteristics of life, or Mrs. Bread, in order to be considered living. So, just as in the case of viruses, it is not a living organism. Alright guys, so that's it from today's video. I hope you learned something new and see you again next time.